Today we have Robin with us, and she's going to talk to us about interview. And you have researched.
I researched the Tarantino interview on Channel 4 by Krishnan Guru Murthy for Django Unchained. I've also researched the interview on the Graham Norton show with Saoirse Ronan about the host.
How many types of interviews are there, and how do they differ?
There are 4 different types of interview. You've got celebrity, sports, political, and talking heads. Celebrity is more intimate, talking about their personal life and stuff, which is obvious in like the Graham Norton show interview with Ronan, as they're talking about her personal life and how the movies have affected her life, and how she's like approached in public and people don't know who she is but still want her to sign things, which is really confusing. She's just like, oh, okay. Yeah, sports is more like that they recorded straight after a match, so like people come off the pitch, get interviewed, like how was your performance and all that. So it's more at the moment kind of footage. Political tends to be about debates and really like hard-hitting news. So yeah, but the Tarantino interview can fit into this section, as it becomes quite confrontational throughout, because Tarantino wants to like promote his video, but he can't promote it because of like British laws, and he gets quite angry when people are trying to ask him questions which he's already answered previously and doesn't want to answer them and stuff like that. And talking heads tends to be just someone famous coming on and talking about something very specific.
Yeah, a specialist.
Specialist.
What are the different question types?
Well, there are many different question types. You've got like open, which you just asked me, so that I can answer freely. You've got closed, which is just like, what's your name?
Also like short answer.
Yeah, so like you can't really elaborate on it. It's just more of a, here's the answer, you can't go any further with that. You've also got stuff like single questions, which you literally just ask one question and I could talk on for ages and that's it. Or you can ask multiple questions, so you ask me a question, I answer it, you ask me another one, I answer it, and so on and so on and so on, and it flows. A good example is in the Graham Norton show interview, where he's interviewing Ronan and basically he's asking her quite open questions, and that enables her to talk about her life experiences and how they link with her current experiences with her new show, well not new show but new movie, The Host.
How are the interview style chosen?
Well, depending on the topic of the interview, depends on the style needed. The Graham Norton show was quite light-hearted for entertainment, whereas the Tarantino interview was more confrontational and like proper, you answer this, oh I don't want to kind of thing.
Yeah, they had to be
So yeah.
How is the structure of the interviews laid out?
Oh, well, there's an obvious structure to interviews. But obviously we're doing it as well. So you've got like the introductions, that was you introducing me, and then you've got like development questions, so like why we're here talking about it, what we're talking about. Then you've got key questions which you're asking, so such as like what's the interview techniques and stuff like that. Sometimes you'll also add in sound clips, so like sound bites. So if I was showing you a new movie, up here would be like a video of the new movie clip or trailer or something like that. And then once you've like built up that side of thing, you can then slowly go down the other side and just like wrap it up and then do a summary and end the interview basically. An example of this is, well, basically both of the interviews, they all follow this generic convention, except for in the Tarantino one there's no interview and there's no soundbite, but there's still those introduction. There's still the key questions and the build-up and then the summary.
What kind of communication skills are needed when interviewing someone?
Well, with communication skills, it's like building a rapport. So basically, you kind of just got to talk to someone, make them feel at ease, release the tension in the interview and all that sort of stuff. Because you don't want to like be sitting there like, I don't want to be here. Like make them feel welcome and all that sort of stuff. A good example of this is in the Graham Norton show. When Ronan was asked about her previous careers, she was told about martial arts. And basically he asked to see an example of that, and they basically did some like stage like punching and stuff like that, which kind of eased the tension out of it, made them loosen up and stuff like that, so it wasn't like they're sitting there not doing anything for half an hour and all that sort of stuff.
There are various types of journalist contacts. Can you like name them?
Well, with journalist like contacts and stuff, it's more like where is it published and stuff like that. So you've got like on the TV, you've got radio, you've got posters, you've got like the internet and stuff like that. These two interviews that I watched, were both on TV and then obviously then put back onto YouTube and stuff like that. Though in the Graham Norton one, there was also a movie poster that came up, as well as like a clip of the movie, but it wasn't shown on for
The
copyright
movie
reasons.
trailer,
But yeah, the actual movie of the host like poster like popped up and while they were talking about it. So it's kind of like using things and referencing them at the right time.
The purpose of interview differs, to each interview. So, like, how would you do that?
Well, yeah, like I said, this interview is just to get information out of me about interviews in a way. But there are many different ways of doing it. So, like, some interviews will get information to enhance the audience's knowledge, or to enhance the interviewer's knowledge, or something like that. They're also there to promote. They're also there to just give information in a way. Some interviews are just there to get an insight in life. In the Tarantino interview, Tarantino wanted to use it as a promotional video for Django Unchained, though obviously he really couldn't, so the interviewer was trying to sway his conversation along the lines of his opinion on violence and stuff like that, so he was trying to get information that way, but obviously Tarantino didn't want that information to come out, so he was just point blank avoiding it kind of thing.
What is rule of third and why is it used in interviews?
Well, the rule of thirds are used in interviews because obviously like you didn't want me to like sit right next to you because it would look like you wouldn't have the interview perspective. It would look just more like we're sitting there having a chat about nothing or something like that. So like we've got the rule of thirds, so like I'm on the the right vertical line, right vertical third, so it gives us that like distance but still as if we were communicating and all that sort of stuff, and it gives like a good perspective of an interview. So in both interviews that I researched as well, they both used that kind of technique with the interviewer on that side, so yeah, where you are, and the interviewee this side. The only difference is that sometimes the camera angle would change so that me as the interviewee would be kind of central to the frame. So not always central, but occasionally I would drift into the centre depending on if I was talking about anything overly important.
What equipment would you take to shoot an interview?
General equipment, basic equipment. So you take tripod, camera, SD card, that general stuff. Maybe lighting or microphone. Yeah. Sometimes it's good to take double equipment, just so if you needed it from both angles, you can, just like we are now. Also, the backup cameras, because you don't want to like record on one camera, change all the shots every time, and then you've lost all your footage because you have no static camera. So having one static camera and one moving camera, that's where it comes in handy. You also know how you're going to set up the equipment, because you don't want to turn up for someone famous you're going to interview, spend an hour setting up, and they've got to go because they've got something more important to be doing. With the two interviews I watched, I can't really use them as examples because I don't know how they were set up, but camera-wise, they look like they use multiple cameras.
Any pointers that you want to give to people who want to carry an interview?
The basic, most important rule, I say, is read up on your topic before you go and interview someone. Because, you understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
If you came to this interview just with these questions and had no idea about what I was talking about, you'll be like, Good example of this is in the Tarantino interview, where he was being asked questions about his opinions on violence and stuff like that. Well, basically, he just dismissed them straight away because he's answered them before.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to have to repeat himself, so the interviewer should have researched that before, so not having to ask similar or the same questions again. Because to be honest, if you're famous, you don't want to be asked 30 questions the same. It gets a bit boring.
And he's been asked that question for 20 years, so...
Yeah, because imagine how many times he's been asked, what made you famous? It's like, do your history. That's pretty much the most important bit about filming. Is just do your history before you do an interview.
Thank you for talking to us about the interview, and hope we can see you again in the
Yeah,
future.
it'll be my pleasure to come back.